We can do an entire interview, and I hope the recorder works. Otherwise,
Hey, well,
we'll have to remember,
it's,
remember everything. And
no, it's a lesson in impermanence.
well, screw that. We need an interview here. We need an interview. So I'm going to go right into our show. I call it Non-Duality Street. And so this is Non-Duality Street, and I'm Jerry Katz, and we're here with Dan. So Dan, look, can you introduce yourself? You have an introduction here? Something about yourself?
Okay, my name is Dan. You want my last name too, or
Oh,
can
I
I
don't know.
remain anonymous here?
Yeah, yeah. Don't go that far. Just your first name, or just the first
So,
two letters of your name are okay. Just
oh, just initials here.
because it's a very spiritual name.
Someone's already gone by that though, right? Someone's done that da thing already.
Yeah. Well, look, you can use a lot of das. You know.
Okay, so my name is Dan, and I have a Facebook page where I go by the name of Braying Jackass because I figured that expressed my personality better than my actual name, and I try to remain kind of anonymous on Facebook because I don't want anybody like stalking me, trying to track me down or anything because I tend to piss people off because I'm kind of opinionated, and so um, and basically I kind of just make fun of this whole non-dual spiritual search thing,
Okay.
and I post YouTube videos, which you saw, and you asked me to be interviewed, which I was kind of surprised because usually I'm the person making fun of the people being interviewed, not being interviewed. So,
Well, I was a little, insulted that you didn't make fun of me.
yeah. Well, to be honest, I'm sorry, I haven't really followed your show, so
You don't,
uh,
you don't
no.
know, you don't know who I am or anything?
I've heard of you, yes, and you're one of my Facebook friends, but I don't know. I was kind of I was always watching like Never Not Here, so I know Richard Miller really well.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
He's,
so
he's okay.
I have quite a few. He's okay. Yeah,
No,
he's
they're all good. I mean, you can't be in this racket for so long without really, you have to love everybody. You know what they say,
yeah.
but there's a
So
but there's a truth to it. But anyway, have you ever been interviewed before then, or?
no, I mean, there's nothing to interview me about because I don't have a book to sell, and I'm not holding sat songs, and I don't have any special story, so no one has been interested in interviewing me ever before.
You don't have any of those things going on?
Nope, none of those things going on. No teachings. Nothing, nothing to sell. People would say, well, yeah, you have an agenda. You're trying to, people say I'm always guru bashing and trying to make fun of the whole satsang scene. So, but I literally don't have anything to sell. I have no PayPal account set up for people to make donations to me. So,
All right. Well, in that case, I'll see you. Nice talking to you. And I think I can get Rupert Spira still awake, and maybe I can get him.
yeah, but all those
But
people have been interviewed to death. You need somebody new, right? So.
yeah, do you know anybody? No, no, really. I mean, I think. So, how long have you been aware of the non-duality scene, the satsang scene, or whatever you want to call it?
Well, I'm not sure exactly how many years. It hasn't been all that long, I guess, maybe 5 years or so.
Yeah.
Um, what happened was I was into Zen, and I live in Rochester, New York. So I used to go to the Zen Center here, and this is one of the oldest Zen centers in the country. I think Philip Kaplow was the
Yeah.
Roshi here, and so I used to meditate very often, and I would go to the Zen Center, and I thought that the Zen Center had all kinds of good karma and dharma going on there. So I used to go there even before the sessions would begin. Because
Hmm.
my apartment was very you know diluted with Maya. But if I left my apartment, went to the Zen Center, then I would be in that space of the good Zen stuff going on. So I used to go there early, and I went. They had a library there, And so I was killing time until the meditation began. I was in the library, and I picked out a book, and it's called The Tenth Man. It was Wei Wu Wei,
Yeah.
and that was the first time I'd ever come across non-duality. And I opened it up, and I don't know how much Wei Wu Wei you've read, but it's
Yeah.
kind of like opening up a physics book or something and seeing all these equations, and you're not quite sure what the equations mean, and you're trying to
Yeah.
decipher them. But it kind of hit home, and I read it, and I thought, yeah, this makes sense. All this stuff I'm trying to do, trying to become enlightened by meditating, it's just not working. And why is it not working? And so it was kind of ironic, is because of that book that I kind of quit the Zen center. So I got into non-duality and quit the Zen scene, and so that was probably about 5 years ago or so.
What? This is actually becoming a real interview. So, so what happened with Way? How long did it take you then to figure out what you said at first appeared like, physics equations? I mean, did it take you a while to see to see what was being said, or did you catch it right away?
Well, I'm not sure I would say I caught it right away. It's kind of like when you first get introduced to Zen and all those Zen stories and the koans and things like that, and they kind of blow your mind, and you think, wow, that's cool. I don't understand it, but it's cool, So it's kind of like that when I read Wei Wu Wei. It was like, wow, this is really cool. I don't know what the hell the guy is saying, but something kind of makes sense here. So I can't really say that I was able to go and make the equations and add the numbers up or anything like that, but it kind of just seemed like he knew what he was talking about. It made more sense than meditating for 2 hours a day staring at a wall.
So you picked there was something there that attracted you. A lot of that you hear a lot of people talk about, going to see Krishnamurti when he used to give his talks there in California. A lot of people would go. I went too, like in the early '80s, and a lot of people really didn't know what he was saying, really what he was really talking about, but everybody went. There was a reason to go there. And so, what is that about people or books or something? Like, something's there, but you don't understand it. What's that about, do you think?
uh, I don't know. I mean, I think people are attracted to this stuff because they're confused about life, right? And you're trying to figure something out, make sense of the world and the universe, and people are attracted to different things. And usually, people who come across this non-duality stuff, I always joke that there's a progression. First you begin as a Christian, and then you're a disillusioned Christian, and then you become a Buddhist, and then you become a disillusioned Buddhist, and then you become a non-dualist. So it's kind of like the end of the line, right? You've become disillusioned with everything else, and now you've made it to non-duality, um, which is basically, there is no practice, which is the big debate, right? Um,
So, do you feel that in your work, you use humor a lot? Are you trying to get people disillusioned about non-duality then? Or
yes,
far?
I'm
Yeah.
I'm one step farther. When you get disillusioned with non-duality, then you come to it's kind of a deconstruction of the whole thing, just seeing the absurdity, the logical absurdity of the whole thing.
Hmm.
Um, but
Yeah.
so even a step before that, to go back into my story, as they say, my story. Um, when I was growing up, my family was Christian, and I just had no interest in Christianity and didn't believe in God and all that. And when I was in college, I kind of stumbled across Eastern religion, and my first introduction was really reading a book of talks by Rajneesh slash Osho,
Hmm.
and that kind of blew my mind because prior to that, I just thought that I was depressed and lonely and sad and angry because of external things. And then when I started reading Rajneesh, and the first book I read was a talk about Bodhidharma. It's called The White Lotus, and it started explaining Zen. And I had never had any kind of knowledge of any Eastern religion, let alone Zen. And it started talking about how the problem is not external. is not objective, it's subjective. It's in the mind and how our mind interprets things. And so that kind of made sense to me at the time. And so I began to do meditations and things like that, trying to
Yeah.
solve the problem of life.
Yeah. So take it from there. So then what happened?
Well,
Just
so I really became interested in Rajneesh.
yeah.
Osho. I still call him Rajneesh because my first introduction he was known as Rajneesh.
Mm,
I kind of lost track of him when he became Osho.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, that first book, The White Lotus, really
Mm,
kind of blew me away and had me looking at things totally differently. And so I began to start meditating, kind of just watching thoughts. It's kind of just your basic meditation of. I used to lay in my bed and just kind of focus on my thoughts, and inevitably I would fall asleep. So it was
yeah.
kind of, which really isn't the goal of meditation to fall asleep, but hey, it worked. I got good naps out of it. Um,
Well, yeah.
but but it was very insightful because I could see how thoughts come up and how their thoughts are just kind of crazy. They tell us one thing and then tell us another thing, and so I kind of was able to see what they were talking about in Zen, how really the suffering that we have is kind of mind created. Um,
Mm,
so I had an off and on interest in Zen and in Rajneesh, and I meditated off and on through my 20s and 30s. I lived
mm,
in Hawaii for 10 years, and I kind of lost interest when I was over there. I didn't really practice or study. I'm trying to think of the name of the guy that's over there in Hawaii. I think he's probably passed away by now. But there was a famous
mm,
Zendo over there. I
yeah.
think maybe I went once to visit. But then after I moved from Hawaii, I lived in Seattle for a couple of years, and I kind of got back into it. And I went to the Zen Center for Songsan in Seattle. Are you
Yeah.
familiar with Songsan?
No, I don't
And
know.
Korean Zen master. I think he might have
Yeah.
passed away recently. And it was Korean Zen. And I also went to a couple other Zen centers when I was in Seattle. And then I continued meditating. And then I moved back to Rochester in about 2000 and started going to the Zen Center here in Rochester. So I used to meditate for maybe 2, 3 hours a day. I would
Mm,
go to the morning session for an hour, and then I would go after work for an hour. I lived only like half a block away from the Zen Center. And I just remember it being very frustrating that I was expecting something. I was expecting to get this enlightenment thing, and it wasn't coming. And am I doing something wrong? Am I stupid? Am I not getting it?
what do you say then? I mean, like if someone tells you someone's in that position now, where they're just, you know, they're inquiring, they're meditating, but they're not getting it. So what would you say to someone like that? I realize this is hypothetical. You actually need to speak to that person or see them or something. But can you say anything about that?
Well, I really hesitate to give people advice on this, or not that I'm in a position where anyone's has asked me advice, but I think it's kind of true. You have to figure it out for yourself, for one thing, and then any teaching or any instructions you give someone, you're just adding knowledge to them, right? I think the video that you put, you're asking me to be interviewed on, was the one where I was pretending I was giving a satsang, and then someone came up and asked a question. I took out a big pot and I started stirring in spices and
Yeah,
said it's a conceptual stew, because the spiritual teachers, what they're doing is you already have your own concepts that you're working off of, right? And you go to a spiritual teacher, now they're just adding more ingredients into this big pot, and you're getting this big conceptual stew or conceptual jambalaya, and you're just stirring it and percolating it, and it's never finished cooking. It's just you're constantly stirring it. So so I really hesitate to just add, to someone's conceptual jambalaya. But I think, I kind of came to the realization that the real reason why I wasn't getting it was because there was nothing to get. The thing I was expecting to get can't be gotten. So um,
mm,
that was kind of the end of the spiritual search in a sense for me. Finally getting
uh,
so frustrated, thinking, why am I not getting it? And then just kind of coming to the conclusion that it can't be gotten, because what I was trying to get was an experience of oneness, an experience of non-duality, because that's what I thought enlightenment was.
yeah.
You have an experience of non-duality, an
Mm,
experience where there is no self present.
mm,
I kind of came to the realization that every experience is inherently dualistic, because an experience implies an experiencer, which is a subject, and an experience, which is an object.
yeah.
So how is it even possible to have a non-dual experience? How would you know? How would you even know you had a non-dual experience? Because there
Yeah.
would have to be an experiencer there to have had the experience, right?
Mm,
So it kind of came
yeah.
to this
Okay.
conclusion: geez, this thing I'm waiting for, maybe it's never coming, because maybe it can't come. And that's not to say that people don't have spiritual experiences, but
Mm,
an experience is just an experience. It just comes and it goes, right? So
yeah.
I think what people do is they take these special experiences and they collect them like trophies, and they put them on a mantle, and they shine them every day, and then when they go to their satsangs they talk about their special spiritual experiences, and this is kind of the justification for them teaching, right?
I don't know. You're asking me, right? I really don't know. I mean, do you go to a lot of
Well,
satsangs or,
no, in my life
just, yeah.
I've only actually physically attended. I went to a couple of talks by Scott Killaby in New York City. That
Yeah.
was a couple of years ago. I went to a satsang. I can't remember the guy's name. He's in Ithaca, New York, and he
Mm.
was a student of Papaji's. And I went to not really a satsang, but are you familiar with Tony Packer?
Yeah, just, I think I have one of her books. Yeah.
She used to be the head of the Zen Center here in Rochester, and then
Uh,
they had some kind of rift, and she branched off. And I can't even tell you if she's even alive anymore. I haven't
huh, yeah.
really looked her up, but she started a center in Springwater, New York, which isn't too far from Rochester.
Mm.
And hers was kind of like neo Zen, kind of like informal Zen. So I went there. I think I went to one like Sunday service and one kind of informal talk she did. So no, I haven't like gone to a lot of satsangs,
Mm.
but I have watched a lot of videos on YouTube. Um, so
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
you
No, I think you, yeah. I mean, in that recent one you did where you had yeah, where you were stirring the pot and you had
know,
the,
cat toys.
and you had the, you had the, yeah, the tip jar. It was very funny, and for me, it hit a little close to home because we have groups that we run here in Nova Scotia, and but I think that that's real important, not to give people, anything, information really, or not to add to knowledge, and I think I think most of the satsangs come from that place, I hope so. I don't know, but if people are looking for knowledge or just looking for encounters with a teacher, then they come up with questions just so that they can have encounters. Uh,
Yeah, it's kind of hard though to be in
which,
this. I understand that. I understand that there's the pros and cons of the whole thing, and it's a very tricky subject. But it's kind of hard to have someone sitting up in front of a bunch of people talking without having some kind of at least what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of implied that the person sitting in front of the people talking has some sort of special knowledge or experience the other people don't have, right? And that they're going to impart that to them.
yeah, well, I think what they do, they often have a special gift for communication, but I don't know if they have any special insight that a lot of other people don't have. But
See, I just don't think
uh,
there's anything. I don't think there's anything you can get. I don't think there's anything to get, and I think if there's an expectation you're going to get something. At least there was for me. Um, there was an expectation for me that I was going to hear something that was going to trigger something in my mind that was going to be like eureka,
yeah,
like a satori, this flash of lightning, that I was
mm,
finally going to get it. And it's like, well, where is that? It's not happening. And I would read I Am That over and over until the I Am That book started to fall apart. So that's one of my props now for my videos is my I Am That, because that's the book that everybody has to have, right? So I expected that there's got to be something there that I'm going to hear, I'm going to see, that's going to do it. It's all those old Zen stories, where
Hmm.
all this, like someone's cleaning a tile or something, and the tile hits bamboo and it makes a noise, and the person becomes enlightened. They're like, where's
Yeah.
my bamboo moment of enlightenment? Where's the you just have all kinds of strange Zen stories where someone hears
Yeah.
something totally insignificant, but it enlightens them. And
Hmm. Well, I mean that happens, but I mean, yeah, the whole thing of a person's story is it's kind of like, your business card. You have a story, and it's kind of a calling card often.
right, because you're
Just-
not really going to get up in front of all those people and talk. They're going to say, well, what's your resume? You need to have a spiritual resume, right? And so you need to have that. I can't think of any spiritual teachers that don't have some sort of story of an awakening or an enlightenment. Can you?
Not, I don't know, not offhand. I never really thought about it, but um, yeah, or often people will talk about my teacher. I'm thinking of, for some reason, of Gangaji. A
Hmm.
lot of, my teacher, and I mean, Gangaji's great. I have nothing against her, but if you're going to go out on the satsang circuit, you kind of need a my teacher hook,
Hmm.
and you need a story.
Right. It's always good to
And
have a lineage. It's like you got to have that certificate stamped by the your guru.
but if you don't have any of that, then what do you do? Then all you really can do is speak truthfully, and that's kind of thing, kind of a theme I've been on lately is just this thing of speak truthfully.
Hmm.
I don't know, does that resonate with you in any way, or
Yeah. In fact, the one person I was thinking of who at least I'm not aware of any enlightenment story he has is Paul Hederman.
yeah,
I'm not aware of
I don't know.
Paul Hederman. I'm not sure how well you know Paul Hederman. He's one
Mm,
of those people whose videos I've watched quite a lot of, and I'm not aware of him ever coming up with saying, I did this and then this happened and then the lightning bolt struck. And for
yeah,
him, it seems more of kind of like myself, where it was just kind of putting. I say it's like adding one and one together and coming up with two.
mm,
So
yeah,
I wouldn't. I don't know about Paul, but I wouldn't say well I had this one special enlightening experience where the tile hit the bamboo tree. I think it's more like looking at the equations, adding them up, and finally saying, yes, they do add up to 10.
yeah.
When you finally add these numbers up, they do come up to 10. I think it's for myself, it was extremely frustrating waiting for this special experience to happen.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
through my Facebook postings and my YouTube videos, I think it's a very common theme. I think people are just waiting for this special thing to happen, or
mm,
this special realization to happen, and then this is going to take away all of their worries and fears and cares in the world, and they're going to become equanimous and peaceful. And I don't know, is that
yeah.
just me, or isn't does that sound sound like what people are kind of
Uh,
expecting out of this whole thing?
I guess. I mean, not as I don't know if it's people that I know. Like I said, we run groups here, and so I get to talk to a lot of people. I'm not aware of. I mean,
So
we have several facilitators, and none of us really promote that kind of a thing. So I don't know what people think, but yeah, I don't know if people are waiting for a great experience, but people who are, I mean, if you have this question or you're waiting for this thing to happen, when something does happen, when that's resolved, uh, however it's resolved, whether it's the bamboo hitting the pole or whatever it is, when it's resolved, like everything then is the answer or the solution. Everything as it is, or just everything. But
yeah,
and
well,
and
yeah.
and you, and you can tell someone that
Mm.
that the answer to your inquiry or the answer to your problem is everything, just
Hmm.
existence. But that doesn't do any good to
Well,
that.
after the tile hits the bamboo and the satori takes place, life goes on, right? And then I think all the stuff just it's human nature. It comes back again, and then geez, what happened to my enlightenment experience, right? I mean,
Yeah, that happens. That happens where, yeah, then people start looking for that. But anything that feels real good, isn't it. It's something that feels real good.
hmm.
So it doesn't feel good forever. But
Yeah, well, experiences come and go, right? Thoughts come and go, ideas come and go. So I think if you're looking for something that's going to come, it's going to go, right? Anything that comes goes. So if you're waiting for
mm,
an experience, the experience might come, but guess what? The experience is going to go. So, and then I
yeah,
think what happens is people maybe just kind of try to cling to it. They want to cling to that experience. And
yeah. I guess honestly, I don't see that in my own, you know, the people that I hang out with and
hmm.
that come to our groups and but I've heard that, I've heard people talk about that. I don't know if I ever pursued it myself, uh, but yeah, people say that's a problem. I'm not sure what the real problem. I don't know what I'm. I think what I'm seeing here in Nova Scotia with the meetups we do are that people want to hear other people speak truthfully. So that's like a theme
Hmm.
that I've been very aware of recently. And speaking truthfully doesn't mean you doesn't mean anything other than that. And speaking exactly honestly and truthfully, not even honestly, but um, yeah, I think that's what people want now, um, because they can do it too. Anyone can speak truthfully, which just means telling the truth. So
Hmm.
um,
So
yeah,
what's the
I think
difference? What's the difference? And I don't know how it works
uh,
where you are, but do you have one person get up in front of everybody and sort of do the talking, and do
yeah,
you like switch week after week or something like that? Or
yeah, me. No, I'm only kidding. We actually, yeah, we have probably 7 or 8 what we call facilitators. These are, and we have 3 or 4 more coming up. Who, when I say coming up, it's just people who just want to who just want to play that role. That's all.
hmm.
And so, we don't talk about enlightened or unenlightened or anything like that, or self-realized, none of that stuff.
Hmm.
But it's just having the particular view, I guess, that, um, and so what we do is, we have several facilitators, and every meeting we have is different. So we might have, like our last night we had like 3 different presenters. Um, and we don't know what our next meeting will be like, and every meeting's different. So we try to make this opportunity to be a leader, a facilitator to anyone.
Hmm.
Um, Anyone who finds that kind of role would be within their natural functioning. It's not just to play around or anything, but that's what they are naturally inclined to do is, take some kind of a leadership role, and that's available here. So what's happening is that people are actually starting their own meetup groups. So we started with like 2 or 3 people, and now we have 3 or 4 groups, each with a number of people. And for me, it all comes from being open, having no rigid rules, truthful speaking, having no one leader, and giving it all away. In other words, when I say giving it away, just giving your leadership away, and letting other people do it as well.
Hmm.
Uh,
Well, so what kind of things are you talking about at these meetings?
well, whatever anyone wants, any kind of anything, be something on self-inquiry or, you know, I mean, our website is nonduality.ca, and you can see all the themes we've had for the last like 30 meetings, all the
Hmm.
different themes, and everyone's kind of different. So, um, what do you think about what I've described?
Well, I don't know. I guess the question that I have would be like, what's the agenda for going to the meetings, and like, why would someone go to the meeting? Like, if you ask someone walking into the door, what are you here for?
People are usually on some kind of spiritual search, or maybe they're not searching, they're just interested, and they'd like to be in a group where we're just being with people
Hmm.
who are coming from the place really of being. They just want to come, they just want to be in that group. That's really the bottom line of what we do, is just to be there. Just being there is sufficient, just recognizing your own being.
Hmm.
So and then of course you have to talk, so you talk about some of the topics around that.
Hmm.
So
So,
that's you know helpful, it's healing, and it's a right way to spend your time. So
well, I guess everyone has to have some sort of hobby, right?
yeah.
Well, does anyone ever reach the point where they say, "Oh, well, the search is over. I've resolved it, and thanks, guys. I won't be seen around anymore."
Uh, yeah, some people stop coming, so maybe that's the case, but it doesn't, yeah, it doesn't really matter, I don't think. And some people come who aren't searching, they just enjoy coming.
Hmm.
Just something to do for an evening.
Hmm.
So,
So, what would the difference be between like what you guys talk about and what happens in, I don't know, an Adyashanti satsang or something like that?
I don't know. I mean, Shanti's a great communicator, so that's why he's as popular as he is.
Hmm.
Um, we don't have audiences that big. We try to limit ours to an ideal group's around 15 to 18 people. We often get more than that, but we try to keep it down a little. And anything can happen in a meeting. We might just go around the room and people can just talk what they want to talk about what they want to talk about, or we might have a question that we ask and someone might talk about it and then others will discuss it. So every meeting's different.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So you've done this show. I think the last interview you did was last year, right?
Yeah.
So why did you stop doing the interviews?
Oh, I don't know. I just got kind of tired of it.
Hmm.
I just got kind of tired of it. And I was spending more time on our local groups. Um, and I really enjoyed the interviews where I didn't prepare much and where the person I was talking to didn't prepare.
Hmm.
And that's why I thought we could do something like that, which we are.
Hmm.
Um, in a way, I'm
So
experimenting with that. I don't know, and as far as I know, I think what we're doing is okay.
yeah, we've made it 34 minutes, so that's not too bad.
So I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I thought maybe you had gotten tired of the whole content of the discussions. I mean, you can only talk about consciousness and presence and awareness so many times, right?
Yeah, well, I never really asked questions like, like what is consciousness? What is self-realized? Because I don't care. So, but I more or less want to know about the people, and where they're coming from, and I'm interested in what people think of the non-duality scene. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you kind of show that in your videos, but is there anything else you want to say about, and you've already talked about it, but is there anything else you want to say about the non-duality scene?
Well, a lot of my videos and my Facebook postings are kind of what people call guru bashing. So I'm kind of really against this whole idolization, of gurus. And because I think what happens is, I think the analogy of a drug dealer is very apt, because what happens is people go to these gurus just basically to feel good, right? Because they're confused about life, they're feeling depressed or sad or lonely, and they want answers. They think that if they get the answers, they're going to feel better, and so they find these people telling them kind of these sweet nothings about how you are not what you think you are, and what you truly are was never born and will never die, and it makes them feel good temporarily. But then as soon as they've left the satsang or turned the video off, then these very natural human emotions come back again. And so it becomes this relationship where they're just using this guru relationship like a drug, and it creates a dependence where they need to just keep going back and back and back again.
Hmm.
Another thing which is kind of disturbing is there's a lot of spiritual teachers out there who really are performing the function of like a psychotherapist or a psychologist, and they haven't been trained, they're not licensed, and they're kind of messing with people's psyches, trying to thresh through um, different emotions and feelings that people are having, and I think it can be kind of dangerous.
Really?
Well, sure. I mean, you've taken someone that's kind of emotionally fragile, and you're putting them into this relationship of trust, where they're being totally open to this person that, I don't know, used to, drive a taxi or something. Now all of a sudden they're acting as some kind of spiritual counselor and,
Yeah.
therapist for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, some of them are like licensed psychotherapists too, but I guess that's a different
Yeah,
story.
no, there are some people
Yeah.
like, but
Mm.
I think it's kind of a dangerous game. I've seen quite a few videos where there are people that are very emotionally distraught, sitting at the feet of a guru, just weeping uncontrollably. And is that person sitting up there in front of them really trained to handle that correctly?
Yeah.
What is their uh, trying to think of the word. They don't
Mm.
have the experience and the you don't have to think that psychologists or
Mm.
psychiatrists are the greatest things in the world, but at least they have been through special training and they are licensed. And
Mm.
if they do something unethical or damaging, they're held to account for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, I think all that's good. I mean, I think that the non-duality scene, um, the non-duality scene, um, I've always said, and I started like in '98 with the first non-duality groups and online. And my feeling then was that if you can bring this down, or if you can do something, say something that will just dissolve this whole scene, please do it. And I mean that still stands. So I mean, so one reason I'm interested in your work is that's kind of what you're doing. You're taking a situation within the non-duality scene, and then through humor, you're kind of dissolving it, or making it more, easier to dissolve, perhaps for some people.
Well, I'm
Um,
just trying to point out the logical contradictions in the whole thing, and it's not my goal to end all satsangs as we know them, and certainly it's not going to happen. But and a lot of people, they make comments on the videos or on my Facebook page that having them laugh at themselves, kind of, because all this stuff I do, I'm laughing at myself basically, because I did all this stuff myself when I was meditating and watching, however many Muji videos over and over. So
Yeah.
I'm basically through making fun of myself, I'm pointing stuff out to other people, and they some people think it's kind of helpful. So maybe to put a perspective on things.
Yeah. No, I think I think you should be getting more views on your videos. You're not getting huge numbers, and do you know why? Or I mean,
Well, I pretty much
just a matter
just
of
I just
publicity.
well, I just post them on my Facebook page, and some other people repost them, and I'm glad people find them funny. I watch them myself and laugh at them. I think they're funny, but I'm not trying to go viral or anything like that. So um,
Oh, yeah.
I just think the whole absurdity of the whole scene, is kind of funny. But and then again, I'm kind of involved in it, a bit myself. But so it's
Yeah.
kind of an insider perspective. So I think
Well,
maybe that's why some people find them funny, because they see themselves in them.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, I mean, really, what's viral? I know I did a video. I think I had 12 views, and I just said it went viral. That's all. Just who's going to argue with that?
Yeah, well, I've gone up to a couple hundred. That's about it. But
That's good. I mean, yeah, I think you should get more. I think you're, Puppet G's doing really big, and he is funny. He's a funny guy,
yeah, I like.
and and uh, and you are too. So you should be. You just need a little
Yeah,
publicity.
it's a whole new market out there. The stand-up non-duality.
Yeah. So I would keep making them. You know.
Well, I'm sure I will. I just have to, I get a spark of creativity, and there's lots of material out there. There's always lots of videos to watch of.
Yeah.
There's always some new guru popping up, that you can
Yeah.
make fun of, and thankful to. I have to, give a shout out to Richard Miller for giving me. Have you seen my Richard Miller Never Not Here parody?
I don't know if I saw that.
Oh, I have. Yeah, I was a big. This is Richard Miller from Never Not Here, and
That's good.
yeah, I realized I can do Richard Miller's voice. Problem is, though, he kind of. I don't know if he's out of the scene now, but he went to Australia and got a girlfriend, and
Yeah.
I don't know if he's even making the Never Not Here videos anymore. So
I don't see anything going on with him, so I don't know. We once talked on the phone. He talked on, and honestly, I never understood what he was saying. But
yeah, my Richard Miller videos I think are some of the most popular ones, because I make him kind of just start rambling.
he
He talks so
does. I
he
don't know.
talks to people he's interviewing, and he does all his name dropping. Yeah, so Muji was talking to me, and then Johnny came over, and then yeah, Gangaji was here, and
That's a good imitation. Yeah.
I need to find some more people that I can. I can't do Muji. I thought about it, and I thought maybe I'd be Muji's white cousin or something, and
Yeah.
try to get that Jamaican accent. You're not the tots, you're the tinker, but I just can't do it.
You can't
So
do a Jeff Foster or Rupert Spire. Rupert Spire has a nice voice. And
yeah,
wouldn't be
British
too hard
accents.
to.
Benjamin Smythe is someone I've done a few videos on. You're familiar with Benjamin Smythe?
Yeah, I don't know how he talks. No, yeah, I'm just familiar through his name. I don't really
He's
talk or anything.
he's very different. Yeah. So yeah, you need to check out some Benjamin Smythe videos. So I've done a couple parodies of him that were pretty popular, because he's a very unique character. But yeah, my repertoire is kind of limited. So either I can imitate someone, so I do it like Richard Miller, or I make up fake gurus. So I have a Swami Baba Ganoush. That's
Mm.
actually one of my most popular videos. That was quite a while ago, last year. And Swami Baba Ganoush wrote a book. And is it okay to curse on your show or no?
I got a lot of sensors here. I got like major networks breathing
Oh,
down
okay.
my neck. The
Well,
bastards. No, yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Swami Baba Ganoush wrote a book. It's called shut the fuck up and listen. I'm enlightened and you're not.
Yeah.
And so he gives talks based on that. Oh, and I have my Swami Bubba was very popular. Swami Bubba lives in the Ozarks, and he gives a redneck satsangs. But the problem is, in order to do Swami Bubba, I bought these fake teeth, to make it look
Yeah.
like. And the only way I could get the teeth to stay in was to use denture cream, and
Yeah.
it's this horrible, nasty stuff. So I put the denture cream in these fake teeth, and you have to let it set, and then it sets in place, and then I do my Swami Bubba video, and then when it's done, getting the stuff off your teeth is just horrible. I had to like ruin all these toothbrushes to scrape it off, and hi there, this is Swami Bubba. So I haven't done a Swami Bubba in video in quite a long time.
Just do the voice. That's all you got to do. So I liked your video where you said you're sitting there, you're waiting for Rick Archer to call you, and Richard Miller, and
Ian McNay. I know I didn't
Ian
mention
McNay. Right? I mean, that name alone is funny.
Ian McNay.
And
Yeah,
and I can make fun of them because they're never going to call me either. And there's no reason to.
there's lots of
But
good material there
but
with Ian.
like what annoys you about some of these interviewers
Um, well,
besides
they
the
ask
fact that
the
they're not calling us?
they ask the same questions over and over, and I get this sense like with Richard Miller especially, but Ian McNay's been doing this for a real long time. I think Ian McNay's been doing this for a couple of decades or something. But the thing is, it seems like they're trying to get answers themselves, right? They're not just asking questions to get information out there for other people. It's like they're trying to find some solution themselves. They're trying to get
Yeah.
something like my story about trying to hear something finally where they had this eureka moment. And so my question would be like, how much longer are you going to continue doing this until you realize you're not going to get the answer? You can interview every single spiritual teacher there is out there, but you know it's like you're just waiting. And like for me, it's how many times am I going to read I am that? How many times can
Yeah.
I read it before I realize the answer is not in the book? I'm not going to
And
find the answer
and
inside.
by the way, I mean, you were saying your book fell apart. My book fell apart too. I didn't even read it. It's just a cheap book. It is. My book fell apart. They all fall apart, but
Well,
you sort of want them to fall apart because so that other people can, think that you read it.
yeah, that's actually I have a video about that. It's how to appear to be in a spiritually enlightened dude. And one of my main pieces of advice is you got to buy I am that. And I tell them don't buy it new. Go to Amazon.com and get it used. And buy the cheapest
Yeah.
one you can get because you want to go into these satsangs holding I am that, and you want to have it all dog-eared and chewed up and dirty because then people are gonna be like, wow, look at that guy. He has I am that. He must have looks like he's read it about 100 times. So you got instant cred.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. It's
these interviewers, yeah, interesting stuff. So I haven't.
um yeah, yeah. So you like so that's Ian McNay and Rick Archer does he's popular. He does.
Yeah, I haven't watched a whole lot of his stuff, but I've
Yeah,
watched.
people like him. Chris Hebard does some really good interviews.
I've seen a
Chris, yeah,
couple of his. Yeah, he's an interesting character too.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, and yeah. Who else? Yeah,
I
I
can't.
don't know. There's not that many. Come to think of it, there really aren't that many. But
Well, come to think of the topic of non-duality, it's surprising there's anybody at all, right? Um, this is not something you walk down the street and this is not something you talk about with your family. I don't know about you, but I don't go. I go to visit my mom every Sunday and see my aunt and uncle and my sister and her family. Hey, I had this great non-dual spiritual realization this past week, and there's no self. It's not something.
yeah,
I don't go into work and talk to people about my non-dual spiritual realizations. So it's kind of not in the
yeah. I
mainstream.
guess not. It's not. It's getting in the mainstream. It's getting into the mainstream.
Well, about
It's
the close
hmm?
on Oprah. So that was the big breakthrough for non-duality.
Yeah, you broke up there, and what were you saying about Oprah?
I was saying the big breakthrough for non-duality was Eckhart Tolle on Oprah.
Yeah. Well, you know who spoke to the most number of people about non-duality at one time was yours truly.
Oh, really?
I spoke to on a national radio show. I think it was in '05 maybe,
Hmm.
on Coast to Coast AM, to 2 million listeners just for 3 hours about non-duality.
Did you interview someone or just talk for
No,
3 hours about non-duality?
I was interviewed. I was
Oh,
interviewed,
I see.
and I don't think I did that good a job, but the interview took place from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. my time. I mean, I didn't even know what I was talking about, but but that was yeah. So,
Yeah, well,
but
about the closest you're going to get is, the be in the now people, Eckhart Tolle, which yeah, it's one of my favorite topics. The people teaching people how to be present, you know, going to a teacher to learn how to be present. So
yeah,
so my joke is that I had a class where I was teaching people to be present, and I said, anyone who's not here, please raise your hand. And since no one raised their hand, they were all present. So I ended the class early.
yeah.
But yeah, so that's another one there.
There's
Being in the
there's a
now.
guy. I'll tell you who's going to be a significant player in the non-duality game is we've always needed, and I've always said this for years. I said what non-duality needs, and one day we'll get, is a journalist, a good journalist who will write about non-duality for
Mhm.
the mainstream press. That hasn't really happened, but it's just starting to happen. In fact, today, a journalist, Jeff Warren, published an article in New York Times, the like blog section or something. And but I mean, it's hard to get an article there, and it's on. And he talks about non-duality and that, and he's writing a book on it, on consciousness, and it's going to be a lot of it's going to be about non-duality. I think it's going to be published. His last book was published by Random House. I don't know if this one's going to be by Random House or not. He's like a major writer,
Mhm.
and Jeff Warren. I posted a couple of things on Facebook about him, but
Mhm.
he's you need a journalist really to bring non-duality to the mainstream.
Mhm.
Someone who knows how to write for every publication, and he's doing that. And I think he's going to be a big player as far as bringing it, bringing it as far as bringing it. I think he's going to be someone, and he interviewed me last week or so for his book. But you get interviewed sometimes, and sometimes people don't use what you say for whatever reason. Maybe because I have no
Yeah.
idea what I'm talking about. But I'm real interested in seeing what's going to happen. What's going to happen with that? What do you think about the mainstreaming of non-duality? Because you were saying you can't really talk to your family or whatever, or you're at the workplace about it. But
Well, yeah, it's
what if
kind
the day comes when you could? Because it's coming. It's coming.
yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so.
No.
I think it's just it's so natural to believe that there's some entity here that exists called a me, called the self, and I think you can't really get away from it. The feeling is always going to be here. The sense is always going to be here. It doesn't even if you come to some kind of conclusion, if you add the numbers up and you come to 10, there's still a feeling that there is some kind of entity, some kind of self that owns all these emotions and feelings and thoughts. And it's really kind of hard to convince people that there isn't, because there's so much argument going on in the Facebook groups I belong to that people kind of accept the premises of non-duality, and they're always quoting Ramana Maharshi, grips with there not being a self. you know. So I don't think you're really gonna have these conversations with your coworkers about the non-existence of a self.
Yeah, well, and it depends how you define non-duality, because there is kind of the I don't know what you'd call it, the side of non-duality that doesn't go all the way, really.
Hmm. Well,
Uh,
right. There's the
the more peaceful meditation,
right.
feeling at one,
Yeah.
feeling
Well,
peaceful. Maybe that's not well, that's not non-duality, but
being in the
in my
now,
definition of it, it's non-duality. But
it is.
I just made up the definition. I made it up.
Well, that aspect of it is I guess you could say pretty popular. I mean, the things like awareness meditation, vipassana meditation,
Yeah,
the being present, uh, being in the now, which I find the whole thing kind of silly. But you mean, do you really need to make an effort to be in the now or to be present? I understand what they're trying to do. It's people are very caught up in their thoughts, and they're very caught up in very crazy, wild, monkey thoughts that are jumping all over the place, and thinking about work and thinking about relationships, and they want to I just need to calm down and relax. And so breathing, concentrating on your breath really helps that,
hmm.
you know. But thinking of that as some kind of spiritual experience, I mean, you're kind of just changing. What you're doing is you're thinking that the thoughts about your breath are good thoughts, and the thoughts about work and judgments and things like that, those are bad thoughts. So all you're doing now is you're classifying your thoughts, right? You're saying thoughts about the now, which is just as much of a concept as the past or the future, right? But thoughts about the now are okay, but thoughts about the past and the future are somehow wrong.
Hmm.
So you want to get rid of. I remember when I was learning how to meditate for Zen meditation, and I remember clearly they would say, okay, you want to, they teach you how to sit, and then you want to concentrate on your breath, and you can count your breath, or you can just, be aware of your breath. And then when your thoughts start to stray, which they inevitably will, when they start to stray towards what am I going to make for dinner, and problems you're having in your relationship or things at work, well, then just bring your thoughts back to your breath. So what that's telling you is thoughts about work and about your relationships are somehow wrong and should be avoided. But thoughts about your breath are okay, and you should cultivate thoughts about your breath.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
yeah,
Wow.
I don't know. I just think all this stuff is just coming and going,
Hmm.
and you're just kind of changing your focus. You're changing your perspective, and you're trying to cling to one certain perspective, and you're trying to push away another perspective.
Yeah.
And that's just causing more turmoil, more flowing of the water. And anyways, what were we
Hmm.
talking about? I mean, I got
No, well, I mean, the bottom line
off.
is, is that you have plenty of material, really, for your videos, and hopefully you'll keep making them. Um,
Yeah, I don't have like some sort of agenda where I say I'm gonna make a video today. I just kind of I'm reading something, or I'm chatting on Facebook. I spend way too much time on Facebook, getting in
yeah,
stupid arguments with people about stupid
yeah.
stuff. And something will just kind of pop up in my mind, or I find something very funny or absurd, and then I say, "Let me make a video about that." So,
So, so
glad
is there anything else that you hate about the scene, the non-duality scene?
that I hate about it.
Anything else?
Hate's
I
kind
mean, hate in a nice
of.
way,
Yeah, and it's funny because as much as people think
I
that
don't mean
I hate,
hate it, I don't mean hate, just kind of,
uh,
oh, like I hate that.
as much as people accuse me of being this, big guru bashing hater, I don't, hate gurus. And putting things into perspective, especially with what happened just recently, there's a lot worse things going on in the world than, spiritual teachers taking money from people. But I just, yeah, I don't know. I kind of have mixed feelings because, in a sense, people are kind of profiting off of people's suffering. They got people coming to them that are um, have very strong emotional feelings, looking for some kind of release, which I totally understand. I all my life I've had anxiety issues that I didn't first start getting treated till like my mid 20s, generalized anxiety and hypochondria and mild depression and stuff like that. So I totally sympathize and understand why people, are seeking and are looking for this, but I think they're just setting themselves up for um, this self-perpetuating uh, relationship where they're looking for some kind of good feeling, and then they get that good feeling from a satsang or a teacher, and then they just keep needing more and more, right? Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
when putting it all into perspective, someone going paying $100 to see Muji talk or something, it's not the worst thing in the world. Um, but yeah, I just kind of like to point out the absurdity of the whole thing.
Are you like among your friends or family, and you haven't really you haven't really hinted at this, but are you considered like someone that people would go to for advice or wisdom?
No, I don't think so. I really don't have a whole lot of friends. Um, I mean, not people I talk to every day, and hey Dan, let's go to see a movie or something. I see my family once a week, and I have friends with coworkers, and I have friends that are more like acquaintances. But no, I'm definitely not. Let's go to talk to Dan about wisdom. I was just thinking about when I was in the relationship with my girlfriend, and I kind of got back into this non-dual stuff, and I kind of introduced this into the relationship, and she of course had no idea what non-duality is. So I was explaining, and I was trying to kind of ease her into it gradually. So I was talking about Eckhart Tolle because hey, he's been an Oprah, he can't be too crazy, right?
Yeah,
Um, and
right.
I was explaining how everything is kind of illusory, and the past and the future really don't exist. They exist only in our mind. There's no actual object called the future or the past. And she was talking to one of her therapists about this, and he said, well, it's kind of funny that he doesn't believe in the future, and he's planning on going to on a trip to Maine with you next week. So, no, I think unless you're in the right group, I think people are just going to think you're nuts, basically.
Yeah.
If you try to talk about this kind of stuff. So no, I don't bring this up to my mom, when I'm visiting on the weekend or.
Because I was just wondering, like, because you mentioned the tragedy in Connecticut, that you alluded to it, right?
Yeah,
So, so like, yeah, go ahead.
I'm really uncomfortable when I go onto Facebook and I see people trying to put a non-dual spin on that whole thing, um, because I just don't really think it helps, especially if you're trying to give a non-dual spin to the people who aren't into non-duality. You're not really helping them by saying that, this is all an illusion, right?
Mm,
The pain is there, and the pain is very real. Um, the basis for the pain may be an illusion, but I think there are opportunities to, give a certain perspective on life. It's kind of tricky to know the right opportunity and the right way to introduce it.
yeah. Well, what would you say to someone, maybe they're not in, I mean, without taking a non-dual angle, what if someone asked you, what if someone, read the news story, wasn't personally involved in any way, but was in this kind of pain and felt frustrated and angry, and, what kind of words of wisdom would you give to that person?
Yeah,
Or,
that's tough. I don't think I would have any words of wisdom on something like that because personally, I just think it's really crazy, and it upsets me too. I can't even look. I looked at some of the news stories and they showed pictures of some of the kids, and I don't want to open up those stories and look at the pictures of the kids, because it just makes it so real that you're seeing their faces and it's not abstract, right?
yeah,
See, I think a lot of this interest in spirituality is basically it's kind of escapism from the rough edges of life, right? Um,
yeah,
and I think probably the best advice is that you just have to face it and not try to escape it and not try to rationalize it away. There are bad things that happen in the world, and there are bad people, and trying to give it some kind of spiritual spin and saying, well, it's all everything is one. and it's all an illusion. I'm not really sure if that helps very much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, hmm.
But I do see very clearly though, and I've seen in my own personal experience that when you do come across these very strong emotions, fear, anger, depression, loneliness, sadness, that the very movement to try to get rid of, away from them or rid of them, doesn't work. It may work for a very short period of time, but they come back again. And
Yeah,
so I use this analogy I came up with where you're in a house and you have someone that comes to your house every day or once a week, and you don't want them to come in. They're a very disagreeable person. They pound on your door and they want to come inside, and you don't want them inside because you're going to fight with them, and it's going to be a very bad situation. So you try to hold the door, and they're pounding and kicking on it, and you're fighting with them, and they kick the door down. They get in anyways. You can't keep them out, and they come in the house, and you shout at them, and you fight with them, and you argue with them, and eventually, an hour goes by, and they leave. Then you kind
yeah,
of say, "Oh, phew," and then you lock the door, and the next day they come back again, right? They come
right.
back again. They're pounding on the door, and you're saying, "Get out! I don't want you here." And then you're fighting with them. This goes on and on, and then if you just one day when they come, you just open the door and let them in and say, hey, have a seat. I know you're going to sit here and argue with me and fight with me, but make yourself at home and pour them a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and
Yeah,
eventually they're going to leave, right? They're going to come and stick around for a while, and they're going to leave. Um, the way I kind of saw this is I have seasonal affective disorder,
yeah,
and I lived in Seattle for 2 years. Right, and that's not
mm,
a good place to live when you have seasonal
yeah,
affective disorder. And Rochester is not a very good place either, especially
uh,
in the wintertime. And so what happens is when it gets cloudy and the sun goes away and it's gloomy, you feel like crap, and you feel very lethargic, and you feel depressed, and you just think that, oh, what's the point? Everything
mm,
looks very bleak and gloomy, just like the weather. And so when this would happen, I would try to do something to get rid of that bad feeling, and that something might be go for a walk. It might be read a book. It might be go to see a movie. And then for a while I was drinking very heavily, and those things all work for a short period of time. But then the thing is that those feelings go away anyways, right?
yeah,
So so I think they're going to go away anyways, and they're going to come back again. So all this effort to get rid of them is, for one thing, it's counterproductive, and the other thing is you're not really doing anything because those things are coming and going anyways.
mm,
All those feelings and those things are, they're going to come back, and then they're going to go, and then they're going to come back, and then they're going to go. So all this effort to get rid of them totally and finally is it's not working.
mm,
So
right.
one of the things I see in the non-dual spiritual scene, and any spiritual scene, is people, they're Nisargadatta had a really good quote. He says, "There's nothing wrong with the dream. It's just that you like parts of the dream and you don't like other parts of it."
Yeah,
So everything is an illusion, but some people, they like parts of the illusion. They want to keep those parts of the illusion that they like,
hmm,
and they don't like other parts of the illusions. They want to get rid of those parts of the illusion they don't like, and hey, it's all just one big illusion. So
mm,
you got good parts and you got bad parts, and the good parts come and then they go, and then the bad parts come and then they go.
yeah. What? So why aren't these people, Rick Archer and these people, why aren't they interviewing you? I mean, the stuff you're saying is as good as anyone else.
Well, I don't have an enlightenment story, and I haven't written a book, and I have no plans on writing a book, because everything I'm saying is stuff I've read myself and I've heard someplace, or maybe something kind of dawns on me, like, hey, that makes a lot of sense, or I understand that, but um,
But why are they only interviewing people who have books, DVDs, and charisma? I mean, not charisma, but some kind of aura of fame around them. Why are they doing that? I mean, where's the lack? Let's bring that for the lack. That's a word. I think I'm just.
well, if I didn't have a
I think I've heard that word recently. And it's a good word. And I don't know if I'm using it in the right way, but why do they need to interview people that are famous? Like what's, what are they, yeah, lacking? What are they lacking that they can't interview you or
Well, I
someone
think
who isn't famous but who has the same insights, and so on.
what I would find very interesting, and what I really find interesting when I interact with people on Facebook, is I'm more interested in hearing from the seekers than I am hearing from the gurus. I find
Yeah.
much more insightful things from what people that are seeking say than what I hear from the gurus. So I would find it much more interesting to have someone on the show that's been a seeker for 20, 30 years, or even if someone has only been interested in this for a couple of years, to find out what their perspective is. Because I think when you interview someone that's interested in this stuff, the more you let them talk, they kind of can work things out themselves. They kind of come to their own conclusions.
Maybe, that would be nice. I don't know if that's true or not. And a lot of people are just stuck, like why can't I see what everyone else is seeing? And that's just a broken record, I don't know how much you want to, but they would probably have a lot of good stories, before you get to that point, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, one of the things I
That's
try
interesting.
one of the things I try to do is I try to take these different spiritual concepts and kind of reduce them down to I don't know I'm trying to think of that word in philosophy, where you reduce an argument down to till it becomes absurd. Um, I was a philosophy minor in college. I can't think of it, but it's where you take an argument and you kind of
Yeah,
play it out. You play the argument out uh, until you
yeah.
reach a conclusion where it's just totally absurd,
Hmm.
and then I think that helps people to look at it and say, "Oh yeah, I never thought about it that way."
Hmm. Oh, I don't know about that, but I didn't do good. I didn't do good in philosophy. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, these interviewers have to. I mean, they're all kind of limited, like they have this vision of enlightened people,
hmm
and they wouldn't dare, deviate from that because they'll only interview people that a lot of other people agree should be interviewed for the most part. So I don't know how many of them really have a mind of their own. Um, I mean, it's like like, like they're, like they act as though they have something to lose, and they don't.
Who are the interviewers?
Yeah,
Well, you're not losing any like corporate sponsorships, are you, or anything like that?
yeah, I know. Well, they have something to lose, their reputation, or who knows. Uh, yeah, no, I mean they're afraid, to just
Well,
to deviate.
I love talking about this kind of stuff. Um, I just find it funny when you got people sitting up in front of groups of people and having them come up to their feet, and and everyone is an expert on their own experience, right? And yet they're like going up to these gurus trying to say, is my experience the right kind of experience, or please tell me what your experience is so I can know if I'm having the correct experience or not. You know, do you really need someone to tell you what the
Yeah,
correct
I don't know.
experience in life is?
I don't know, but yeah, you're right. That's the same thing with the interviewers. Nobody can think for themselves, and if you can't think for yourself in the field of non-duality, you're in the wrong field. This isn't the field for that because non-duality is about standing alone.
hmm
Uh,
Yeah, because I think when it comes down to it, you're not going to get an answer from someone, or you're not going to get an answer from something. You're not going to read something someplace. You're not going to watch a satsang video, and you're not going to get the answer, whatever the answer is, or even if there is an answer. When it comes down to it, it's something you're going to have to work out for yourself, anyways.
yeah, that is what it comes down to. Yeah, we have a girl comes. I know a girl comes to our group, and she was telling me her kind of story and saying how she read everyone read and read and read and read everything.
hmm
And finally, she says everything sounded the same to her.
Yeah.
So she just dropped all the books and says, "Look, I've got to figure this out myself."
hmm
That's a great turnaround for a person. Just what you said. You've got to figure it out for yourself, which means letting go of the books and just everything that's out there. Letting go of the non-duality scene, really.
Yeah.
Um, But like, who do you? I mean, there must still be people you know like, read, or whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, I mentioned Paul Herman. I like Paul because he's kind of the anti-guru. If you're not that familiar with him, but he comes to his satsangs wearing t-shirts and shorts. He's a surfer, and his hair is always kind of messed up and
Yeah, yeah. I know Paul. I've
and
I know
he
Paul.
doesn't come across as he definitely is not the guru type.
Yeah,
He's like the anti-Muji. Muji is like the epitome of the guru with the
yeah.
robes, and
Hmm.
the fan. He's got the fan going, and so I like Paul a lot. I like Gilbert Schultz, who a lot of people don't like because he's kind of a cranky.
Yeah.
Gilbert, right? I think you were
Yes.
interviewed on his.
Yes, I was. Yeah.
Yeah. So and and then there's a kind of a newer guy, Caesar Teruel. I don't know how you say his last name. He's
Hmm.
Argentinian.
I don't know.
Um, yeah, he does a lot of videos. He kind of travels full time. He spends a lot of time in Russia, and he goes to different places in the world. And he's really into the satsang thing, which kind of I'm against, but he doesn't he doesn't kind of proliferate the whole guru thing, and he doesn't give you a whole lot to grab your hands onto. Um, and then the old timers like Nisargadatta I like a lot. I don't really read a lot now. In fact, I
Yeah.
really don't read very much non-duality stuff at all.
Yeah.
One of my all-time favorite books. I'm looking at my bookcase right now. I got so many books up here. If I was to recommend like maybe one book at all to anybody, and it's a Zen book, it's Wangpo. It's on the transmission of mind, Zen teachings of Wangpo.
Yeah.
It's a very
Okay.
short book. He was a Chinese Zen master, and I think he kind of nails everything very, very concisely. You know,
Can
because I
you
don't think.
can you
I'm
like
sorry.
spell that? Because I think people might want to be aware of that. Kind of spell some of those
Yeah,
words.
well, I don't really want to be encouraging people to buy more books, but anyways, um, yeah, I do like this book. It's Wangpo,
Okay.
Huangpo,
Yeah.
and it's called The Zen Teaching of Wangpo on the Transmission of Mind. Um,
Okay.
yeah, it's not a very long text.
Well, I mean, a lot of those Zen books, you just take the word Zen and replace it with non-duality, and you got like a modern book.
Well, yeah, because this is very, very, very non-dual. It's not go and stare at a wall for 2 hours type of Buddhism. Or it's
Well,
it's
can you grab the book and find the part where and just kind of replace the word Zen with non-duality? See how it sounds? Just
well,
read something from it.
he himself doesn't use the word Zen.
Oh, he doesn't. So,
Well, because I think it was before that was called Zen.
oh,
This is a few hundred years ago.
yeah.
Like
Well, read
this.
something from it. Well, do you mind?
Well, geez, if I can find a good part here, I'm
You,
skimming through
you,
it.
you don't have to, but
It's all good, but I don't want to just kind of pick a. I like it because he kind of I'm thinking one of the students came up and said, "What's the difference between the deluded mind and the enlightened mind?" And he says, "How many minds do you have?"
hmm,
So he kind of like shuts down all these questions. People come up with these conceptual, philosophical questions, and he kind of just shuts them down immediately. But yeah, I've got so many books up here in my bookcase. I don't.
yeah. I got tons of books. I'm trying to get rid of my books.
I actually sent a big box of books last year to a Facebook friend, but I still have a lot of them left over. In fact, I'm looking right now. I still have the Rajneesh Bible, sitting over there in my bookcase.
Rajneesh Bible. I think I might have had that. I have
Rajneesh.
a few of his books, um, and I still like them. And
I criticize Rajneesh. I hope people aren't getting mad. I'm saying Rajneesh. They're like, no, he's
no,
okay.
I call him Rajneesh too. I'm
I
totally with
I
you.
I criticize him a lot. I poke fun at people that used to be Rajneeshis, but he totally changed the way I think about the world, and it was I kind of think of him as like my first love, my first spiritual girlfriend, and
Yeah,
I ended up having to break up with him, but so we have this kind of love-hate relationship now. But
yeah.
yeah, I don't know if I'd want to recommend, hey, go out and buy this book or buy that book, because pretty soon you start having bookshelves full of books, right?
Well, I mean, nowadays, if someone wants to send me a book, it's like, send me the digital copy. I don't want any more books. I just don't want them.
Yeah, I know. And I like Wei Wu Wei too, but it's just you read like two sentences of Wei Wu Wei, and then you think about it for like 3 hours. He just
Yeah, his stuff's, yeah, no, you're right.
It's like a knot, and you're trying
Yeah,
to pull this knot apart. You think if I can just get this knot untangled,
yeah.
I'm gonna have the answer, and then you think you got the knot untangled, and you got another strand or something.
Yeah, I prefer Rajneesh because, you can really, you can understand his stuff. His stuff flows, you can read it. But Wei Wu Wei, like you said, it's more like math equations.
Yeah, but that's one of the things I think I was kind of attracted to is
But if
because
you like that, yeah, then it's the
yeah. But then again, I just want to keep emphasizing you're not going to get an answer from reading a book. You're not going to read Wei Wu Wei. I used to think that I kept if you've read Wei Wu Wei's books, there's several books he has, and it's pretty much the same thing in every book. It's not like there's
yeah,
anything new in any of the books, but I kept buying. I think if I get one more Wei Wu Wei book, this next book is going to have the answer to the puzzle in it someplace, and if I turn the page and come across it, and I can solve this, it's like a Rubik's cube. If I can turn it one more time and get the answer, so I really don't want people to get the impression, all three people that are listening to this interview.
yeah. Well,
Are you gonna have 2 million people like that?
I wish I get my 2 million listeners back. Where the heck are they? Where are my 2 million listeners?
But I don't want to encourage people because I think the tendency is so strong there. You know, when I went to the satsang with Scott Killaby, there was a woman taking notes. And I'm thinking, geez, you don't really want to be taking notes. This isn't like a college class where you need to take notes
Hmm.
and then go home after the satsang and open your notebook up and start reading the notes. Anyway, so
Yeah.
but yeah, if I did recommend any books, I guess I would say Wei Wu Wei and Wang Po, and trying to see what else I have. I still really like I Am That, even I've read it so many times, and
Hmm.
I also like the other book, that Consciousness in the Absolute, the much smaller Nisargadatta book,
Yeah. Yeah.
which was, I think, right before he died. It's like his last talks. He became much crankier as he was nearing the end, and so much more dismissive of some of the people asking questions.
Yeah. Yeah. Those were some of the big names.
I never really
Yeah.
got too much to Ramana Maharshi, but for whatever reason, as wise as I think he is, but
Yeah. So, oh yeah, yeah. I made a note here. You were talking about, you can't read a book and find the answer. And earlier I was saying that, existence is the answer. And I thought that'd be a great title for a book, for like a non-duality book. Existence is the answer, or maybe another word for existence. I don't know,
yeah.
but
Well, my
something
my
like that.
my non-duality book is going to be called "You Don't Need This Book." You don't need this book, so don't buy it. Throw away all your books. Stop buying books.
Yeah,
One of my running gags on my Facebook page is I keep announcing these retreats, and
yeah,
these 6-week retreats, and it's called "Ending the Spiritual Search."
yeah. I saw
Um,
that. Yeah, that was good.
Ending the Spiritual Search, a 6-week
6 weeks,
retreat.
and that's part one. It wasn't there a part two or something
Yeah,
like
you,
that?
you can get a subscription if you buy like a yearly, a 10-year membership to Ending the Spiritual Search.
Well,
But think of all these
see,
books. Think of all these books, and these people actually have the audacity to. I mean, a lot of people probably see this and don't think I'm joking. They really think they want. I'm having a satsang called Ending the Spiritual.
yes, you're right. Yeah,
Because there are people that actually do have satsangs called Ending the Spiritual Search, and I'm thinking, how can you go to a satsang called Ending the Spiritual Search?
I don't know.
Yeah, I got a 300-page book. It's called Ending the Spiritual Search.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know. Uh,
So that's why I kind of, I get ticked off that people are actually charging people to have them come up to it. I understand, you got a meeting room and you got to pay someone to turn the lights on.
You do. I mean, we do.
I understand that. And if you want a person to come and talk in your city, they got expenses to pay. But people are like making salaries, giving these, satsang
Yeah.
talks. And I heard a rumor that I won't even mention who, because I don't know if it's true, but there's a very famous uh, uh, non-dual guru that has like a 10-person entourage. That if you want to book them to come talk in your city, you got to get like rooms for 10 people.
Yeah.
They bring their own film crew.
I mean, people have. I mean, I know Idea Shanti has a handful of employees, and
So it's like they have their own people. It's like you're in Hollywood. Have your people call my people.
yeah, those people do.
I don't.
They're an industry,
Yeah.
so
I, you know, I,
whatever.
I understand. Books cost money for paper, and you got to pay publishers. Um, I just myself, I would feel dirty charging people to, for a book or for a satsang to talk about this silly stuff.
But you can't. I mean, where are you going to meet? You got to meet somewhere. So if you meet at the local mall, someone's going
Well,
to buy a coffee or something. It's going to cost
yeah.
$1.50 or something. So the cost, you can't get away from it.
Well, yeah. I mean, if I was to give a satsang, and they call my people, let me know. If I was to give a satsang, I wouldn't be uncomfortable with someone footing the bill. But if people want to come and hear you talk, then let them just come. And if you can ask for donations, but don't like force people to give you money. If
Yeah.
Yeah, I just find it kind of it's just become like a big business. One of my Facebook friends I have to mention, because I think this is really funny. She came up with the term dharmaceuticals, big dharma.
Mm. Yeah. Wow. That's cool.
Big dharma and the pharmaceutical companies.
That's pretty
they're
cool.
they're not interested in coming up with cures. They're interested in creating customers. I would just love. I think I would drop dead if I watched a satsang, watched a video or went to a satsang. Someone's giving a talk and they're like a half an hour into the talk, and someone just jumps up and says, "I've got it. Thank you," and they wave and they walk out and they leave, and they never come back again. I
You
mean,
never
that
see that.
you don't.
You,
Have you ever seen that ever happen?
no, no one ever gets it, I guess.
Well, I guess some people are getting it because they're sitting up in front of the other people and they're
Yeah.
talking, right?
People do get it. People do get it, and or they, yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do. I mean, that's what I see. But
Well, I
that's not what it's about either. I don't think it's about
well, no, I don't think it's
if
about getting.
people get it. It's about it
It's
really comes, regardless of what your role is in this game or in this world, if you want to say. I mean, your job is to play your role, really. It's all it is.
yeah, true, true.
But you have to know what your role is.
I mean, if there is no self and there is no actor, well, it's kind of hard to be critical of a guru because a guru is just playing the guru role, right?
Yeah.
So, and the seekers are just playing the seeker role. So, I'm playing the guru bashing role. So,
Yeah, and existence itself is the answer. There's not a part of existence that's it's not doesn't break into parts.
right.
There's not one part of existence that's one answer, and then there's another. There's one answer.
So maybe that's the
So
definition of non-duality. It's like you take it all or you don't take any of it.
yeah, no, yeah, we don't have. Yeah.
You can't
Can't
have it both ways.
you
You can either
can't
take
take it.
everything or you take nothing.
There's no one to. Let me tell you something very wise, very non-dual, and I heard people say it, so it's got to be true. There's no one to take anything.
Mhm.
Now I say that not as someone who knows that, but as someone who has heard that. Uh, but anyway, look, we're just two guys who, Rick Archer will not interview. That's what it comes down to. And so we're both
Well,
depressed about that. But
well, I'm not a guru and I'm not enlightened, and I'm just a schmuck with an opinion.
I'm less than a guru. I'm less a guru than you are, and I'm less enlightened than you are, and I'm more of a schmuck.
You're more of a schmuck? Okay.
So that's how enlightened I am.
Yeah, the funny thing is like you can't really say that you're enlightened, right? None of these gurus come out and they say I'm enlightened. Maybe a couple have, but most of them don't. They kind of demur, They don't say like, yes, I'm enlightened, but they kind of backdoor their way into saying that they're enlightened, right?
Yeah, however they do that. I don't know.
So so my take on the whole thing is that rather than saying I'm enlightened, I'm not enlightened. I'm like, what is it that is enlightened? What is it that becomes enlightened? What is it that's deluded? The only two choices you got are the body or the mind, right?
Yeah.
So is it the body that's deluded? Is your nose deluded? Does your ear become enlightened?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well then it's the mind. So then your thoughts become enlightened. Yeah. Your thoughts hold the characteristic of being enlightened. It's just, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Again, it's breaking it down to it's existence. Existence becomes enlightened. Existence. What did Buddha say? It's enlightened.
Hmm. Well, I don't think you even just need to say it just is, right? It just is. No need to call it
This is
right.
yeah, but I mean
It is.
this isn't the kind of stuff we wanted to talk about anyway. This is like this is for Rick Archer to talk about. I don't talk about this stuff because it's ridiculous.
You don't talk about awareness and consciousness and
I
different
don't I don't
levels.
get into that because
The difference between the I love the difference between the relative and the absolute, right? The difference between the relative. So, you got the relative, but then that's not the real. The absolute is what's real. But of course, this is all non-dual.
it's all relative. I don't know. I don't get into that. Like, what's the difference between consciousness and what's the difference between enlightenment and self-realization? I've been interviewed with these kinds of questions. And I don't know how, I don't answer them, and the interviews never get posted. I've been interviewed by some of these big people, and they never published it because I really don't know what to say. I'm not into that.
Well, that's the ultimate realization that we don't know what the hell's going on, right? You don't know.
I don't like to talk
And
about that stuff.
as soon as you know something, it's wrong, right? The Tao that can be spoken of is not the true Tao. And now for the next 3 hours, we're going to talk
That's right.
about
Yeah, yeah.
the,
That's what you said.
yeah,
3 hours we're going to talk about what we can't talk about.
the Tao that can be spoken of is not the true Tao. And now that we've all agreed on that, let's have these philosophical discussions about consciousness and awareness and different levels and who's deluded and who's enlightened and
But that's okay. I mean, that does describe the non-duality scene for the last, you know, on the internet for the last 15 or whatever years. Yeah,
yeah.
it's just people talking about it, uh, just for the activity of talking about it. I mean,
Well, it is a hobby. I mean, seriously, it is.
it
It
is.
is it's something to talk about. For quite a while during the summer, I was out riding my bicycle and I wasn't getting involved in these Facebook groups, and I instead was getting involved in these bicycle forums.
Yeah,
So I joined these bicycle forums to find out about my bicycle because I like doing my own maintenance on my bicycle. And of course, I got involved in these discussions. And it's funny because the same type of silly discussions go on in those groups. Big fights about what's the best kind of lubrication for your chain. People are getting
mm,
banned. People are getting banned from the site because they were getting so angry. WD-40? What are you, crazy? You can't use WD-40 on your bicycle chain. Instead, so it's kind of like, go out. You know what? Go out and ride your bicycle. Put olive oil on it if you want to. Just ride the thing. So instead of sitting here and debating what is consciousness and what is awareness, just go out and live. Go for a walk. Go for a hike.
yeah, exactly.
But I don't know. I say this and then I go back on Facebook tomorrow and I get in these arguments with people about these.
I know. I hate Facebook. I hate it because
It really is an addiction.
I post something And 30 seconds later, I'm going, why doesn't anyone like this?
Yeah, I
Where are you,
know.
you bastards?
Oh, did someone repost one of my postings? Oh, I'm so excited.
And then finally someone likes it, and I love that part. Thank God you like it. I'm so happy.
Well, just think if there was a dislike on there like there is on YouTube, that would really be.
Oh yeah, no, I couldn't handle that.
Yeah, yeah, Facebook's funny.
But well, the fact that nobody, I mean, I posted a couple of things today. I got like 2 likes. I mean, like what's wrong with me? Am I doing something wrong?
Well, I tell you how to really, haul in the likes is you post stuff about how what we are is love, what we truly are is love, and the expression of just put hearts, lots of hearts, and use the words like presence and hearts, love, awareness, that kind of stuff. You'll get lots of likes and
Yeah,
lots of.
but then yeah, but those are from my friends, like, rainbow love, love, amber or something. Do you have a lot of friends like that with the name Rainbow
I
in
have I
there?
have a few, but keep in mind my Facebook name is Braying Jackass, so I can't
Yeah,
I can't I can't criticize people for having silly Facebook names.
I don't know. I got like 40 girlfriends named Rainbow. I don't know.
Rainbow karma, or they take on some kind of. I like it when these Caucasians take on these Indian names. So
Yeah,
in one of my videos, when I say how to become a spiritual person, you have to change your name because it's definitely Dan is definitely not a spiritual name. So I said anything Indian sounds good, right? So even if you don't know, you just like go to an Indian restaurant and call yourself like Garam Masala or something.
right.
So Swami Baba
That's
Ganoush.
good.
Because
Um,
no one's gonna really know.
yeah, you gotta, the other thing I don't get with Facebook is, I mean, a guy will friend me, and I check out, and it says how many mutual friends you have. We'll have like 720 mutual friends.
Mm.
And who is this bastard? I don't know
I
who he
know.
is. We have
Yeah,
700, we should, who is this?
I've never met one single Facebook friend in person, so I
Yeah,
don't I don't use my Facebook account for family and friends because I'm not interested in that kind of stuff. I see my family once a week. I don't need to post stuff on Facebook. My mom doesn't even have a computer, so my Facebook is totally just for this silly non-dual spirituality discussions. So the people that I'm friends with are just people that see my posts or see me commenting in a Facebook group or something, and then
yeah, yeah.
friend me. So
Um, yeah, you post fairly often, I think, almost on a daily basis.
oh yeah, yeah, I should be working, but I'm posting on Facebook. Um,
Yeah, yeah, I don't really like Facebook, but I don't know. I'm on it. You got to
I,
get
I
off
you know
of
I
it.
got to be honest. I love the attention. So what can I say? I love the
Well, that's
attention.
what it is. It's the likes. It's all about the likes.
Because you used to have to go into a restroom stall someplace and put your wise sayings on there, and then you get some people come in and look at it, and maybe someone else would write something. But this is like instant gratification.
Yeah,
It really is like cocaine.
yeah,
You're getting it immediately. You post something, you got 400 friends out there, and anytime I got friends in India, Australia, China, every place. So I could wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and post something, and immediately people would start commenting or liking it. So,
yeah. Well, yeah. Well, your posts are pretty good. Uh,
oh, thank you.
so well, after this interview, you're going to be famous to those 3 people that are listening. No, no. You know, this will get 1,000 listeners.
Seriously?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
They all get a lot of. Yeah, I have a newsletter that goes to a lot of people, and
Yeah.
so
Well, like I said, I like the attention, but I'm not selling anything. So I have no,
well, you should be.
I have no PayPal accounts to post for anybody, and
Oh,
I'm way too lazy to even write a book. So.
well, that's good. All right. Well, these are the kind of interviews I want. Like I said, I hadn't done an interview for like a year or something, and or probably over a year. So
Yeah, so I recommend
uh,
just interviewing, your average schmuck, your people off the street that go to a satsang and pull someone out of the crowd and interview
I
them.
do. I just want to interview people. I don't want to do any research. I want to do very little editing. The only editing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of some of the stuff talking about myself. I really don't want to. I don't like those interviewers that talk about themselves.
Mhm.
They'll go on, or they'll ask a really long question.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I don't think you've talked about yourself a whole lot.
for a
You know,
while there was, I did. I talked about my group and stuff earlier. I'm going to get
well, I wanted to know about your group because
Yeah.
I don't know a whole lot about what I it's hard for me to give an opinion, and believe me, I'm more than willing to give an opinion, but I didn't really know a whole lot about what you did in your group, so I didn't want to be critical about something I don't know
It's
anything about. So.
Yeah, and I didn't really describe it well anyway. It's something it's such a part of me. I'm not really good at describing it.
Mhm.
That's what I learned about that. Is that I'm just involved with the people that are within it, and I haven't tried to really explain it. But
Mhm.
anyway, and I'm tired. It's late, so I can't.
Yeah. Oh
Makes me
yeah, you're an
think
hour past me.
you're probably
You're in the only time zone that's past mine. So.
yeah. But anyway, anything else we need to talk about? I mean, this was
Oh
interesting.
no, there's nothing. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought for a while I was getting worried there. I thought we kind of reached a dead spot, and then
Well, the dead spot's good. That's you want to hit the dead spot
and I have all
in
these
these
notes.
interviews.
I have to admit, I printed out all these notes. It works. I thought, oh my God, I'm so unfocused. I thought I'm gonna start talking and not know what the hell I'm talking about. Or you're gonna ask me like, oh, tell me about your spiritual seeking. I'm gonna forget like 10 years. So there'll be like a 10-year gap that I don't mention or something.
No,
So.
I didn't. My only notes were my notes. I'll tell you what my notes were. They're introduce yourself and tell me what you hate about the non-duality scene and have you ever been interviewed before? A couple of things like that. I'm just curious about. I have one question here. What's the most important thing for people to know?
About what?
How would you answer that? I don't know, about bikes. I don't know.
The
And I
most.
was too late enough to answer that. We're
Yeah.
both too tired.
I don't think
But
there's
anyway,
one important thing people have to know. I don't think there's any one important thing. I'm not
yeah.
even saying, be yourself because how you,
Well, there it is. Okay,
be
that's it.
yourself. No, that's not my answer because how can you be yourself? Can you not be yourself? Anyways,
I don't
just
know. I'm
just be.
just be. Yeah, yeah. There you go.
How can you not
That's it.
just be? Okay, let's
That's the answer. Just
okay,
be.
we'll end it with that. Just be.
All right.
That's
And
it.
end with that. So I think I'm gonna do just a little editing on this. I'll listen back and post it. I might post it
Okay.
tomorrow or Wednesday, and that'll be the end of your. You'll be famous.
That will be it. This is my first and last by a moment of fame. I tell you that much.
No, I'd like to interview more people where I don't have to do much research. I want that spontaneity. I want that. You know, that's what I want.
You
You
know, I
know,
would I would love more people to watch my videos because I like making people laugh. So,
yeah. I really would encourage you to make more videos, and you'll get more of a following. And yeah,
so I need to plug my YouTube name is EQ. EQ, the Zen
yeah.
master. EQ15 is
Well,
my.
I'll print all that. Don't worry, I'll put all that in.
Okay, so that's my only
Yes,
plug.
I'll put
So
your links in. So
that's my only link. I have no other links.
and
And
see what
Facebook.
happens. This is going to be a long interview. I don't know who's going to listen to the whole.
Go. Feel free to edit out any of the dull.
I can do a shortened version. I can't really do a shortened version. I don't know. We'll see
All
what
right.
happens. But
So,
so look for this to be posted in the next couple days, and you know, keep making your videos. They're very funny. You're really, really funny.
no, thanks a lot.
Um, yeah, you know. So that's it.
All right, thanks a lot, Jerry.
Thank you. I enjoyed talking to you. It's
Yeah, I
great.
enjoyed talking with you too.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
Okay, Dan. Take care.